We've been covering the death of Amanda Harms, this woman found dead in a stranger's backyard. And with so many unanswered questions, we actually sit down with her mother and the family spokesperson to get a little bit more understanding of what's going on. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. We have an update for you now on a story that we covered recently here on the show concerning 46-year-old Amanda Harms. This is the teacher, mom of three, and grandmother to a grandson who was mysteriously found dead in a backyard in Muskogee, Oklahoma, about 3 miles from her home. She was last seen January 13th, the day before her birthday. And the medical examiner's office issued a preliminary report that there was no physical or forensic evidence of sexual assault or physical trauma, that any abrasions or scratches were consistent with where and how her body was located. Ultimately, law enforcement concluding that no foul play is suspected. Hypothermia could not be ruled out as a cause of death. After all, it was freezing temperatures that night. But alcohol and benzodiazepines were found in Amanda's system. But again, this is a preliminary report. Need the actual lab results to confirm the details, including the ME's ruling as to the cause and manner of death. But there are certain weird details to this story, like not only why she left the home, but why she didn't take the money or her phone. There's also reporting that she was seen getting into someone's car, that this is captured on tape. And Amanda Harms' family still has questions. So with that, I want to bring in right now a very special guest. Well, two guests. Amanda's mother, Shelly Townsend, is joining us. And also she is joined with her friend and spokesperson for the family, Gina Seiger. I want to really thank both of you for coming on. And let me just say, Shelly and Gina, I know this is an incredibly tough time. I am so sorry for your loss. Yes. So I can't imagine what you're going through. I just want to say to you, I'm really, really sorry. And to come on and be able to speak about this in light of what has happened, again, really appreciate it. But again, just want to extend my condolences to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, they're appreciated.
So before we even get into the death of Amanda, can you just let us know, our viewers know, who was she? What was she like?
Well, she was a teacher. She was a loving and kind person. She was energetic. She loved to play games. She loved family. She loved doing things with family. She loved her students. Yes, there's been so much outpouring of love from other teachers and students. There's not one person that has said one bad thing about Mandy.
Yeah. And she was a mother and a grandmother, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What was that relationship like?
With Henry. She loved Henry. She lived to see him every chance she could get, but he was living in Illinois. And she was down here. So she didn't get to see him very often.
Right.
But he was the apple of her eye. I guess that's the best way to say it.
And what was your relationship like with Amanda?
Oh, we had a very good relationship. Very good. Mandy, she never gave me any trouble. She was always helpful, considerate. She always told me, Mom, I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry. You know, we laughed together. We played, you might say, games. We did things together. Fishing, swimming, you name it. I mean, just a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our relationship was very good. Mandy was the daughter that didn't ask basically for much of anything. I mean, not the designer clothes, and stuff like that. She was very frugal, actually. Right? Yeah. She was awesome.
That's great to hear, because we talk about these cases sometimes, and I think humanizing who we're talking about and understanding who we're talking about is important, but also in this case specifically, which is what I want to get into. And again, I know this isn't easy, but you have more information than we do. Can you explain to us, and the way I understand is you have a frustration with the police response to what happened to Amanda. What is your perspective on what's going on here right now?
Do you want to take that, Gina?
Well, since we've started getting a little traction, we've got a call back that Shelley does have a meeting with the chief of police on Thursday morning. But before this, we feel as a family that Amanda did struggle with alcohol addiction there at the end. And we feel like because she was drinking and had medication in her system, that she's just been labeled as someone who didn't matter. There's too many inconsistencies. The preliminary coroner report and the police officers say there's no foul play. There's minor scratches and abrasions. And when we saw her, her nose was over here. Her eye socket looks like it's broken because her face was distorted. She had a cut here, abrasions here, both black eyes, scratches and stuff on her hands, which could have happened in the fall. We're not saying that. But there's too many unanswered questions. She was in a home that was warm, that had heat, that supposedly the door was open to go out, and she left without her coat, hat, gloves, and jumped out a window and ran across the street banging on the door for someone to let her in because she was cold. She was inside a house that had a heater. Apparently she didn't have her boots on. She might have been carrying them because they found one about a half a block from where her body was in the same yard, but it's a big yard, and one boot underneath her. She had 1 foot caught in the fence and one hand caught in the fence and was found on her back. But then they say that her facial trauma was caused from the fall because she fell on her back. So we're not understanding all this. There's a lot of things that we just don't feel like. They didn't investigate him. They did not interrogate him. They took him at his word.
Let's talk about when we say him, and to be clear about who we're talking about, before we even get into the gentleman who may have picked her up that night, when you've expressed these frustrations to law enforcement, have they said anything to you, and what did they say that would make you feel like they've disregarded this case or summed it up and concluded it automatically? Have they said something specifically to give you that indication?
Well, yes. It's my degree was in criminal justice. I wanted to be a Muskogee police officer, actually, but just based on what I know, he was never asked to come down to the police station to be interrogated. He was never asked, would you take a lie detector test, which to me, that's just standard police work.
And this is, again, this is the person that you believe picked Amanda up. If you can tell us what we know about this person. So how do we know how do we know who this person is, or how do we know that he had an interaction with Amanda? Let's start there.
Because it is on video footage. A few blocks from her home. I don't know how many blocks, 3, maybe 4 blocks from her home. He did pick her up. So that is on camera. Security cameras of from some business, I'm assuming.
How we got to know about him even is he interjected himself into this case. She was missing for 2 days, and he came forward to the police office department, said that he had her hat, coat, and gloves. From what we were told, the police did a walkthrough in his house, saw her clothes, asked him a few questions, and that was the end. They said there's no foul play, so there's no reason to investigate. That's what we were told.
There's no foul play, so
Correct.
there's no reason to question him further. And do you know who this person is?
We do.
Yes.
We don't feel comfortable giving his name out because if he did not do this, we do not want him to be blown up and things bad happen. We just need answers. We're not out trying to put him in prison. We just need answers. We went with a local news crew to his house, and we sat in the car, but he refused to comment. Mm-hmm. And that's weird to us.
He also said he was lawyered up, that he's
lawyered up.
That has an attorney now.
To be clear, and without identifying, did this person ever have any kind of connection to Amanda before this?
No.
Complete stranger.
Never. And they have him on video. He told the police, and we have some friends that have came forward that he was not drinking. The police have him on video buying Fireball and cigarettes before he picked Amanda up. So we feel like that is where she got the alcohol, is from him that night. And we don't know what happened after that. We just need answers.
The last conversation I had with my daughter, she called me Friday the 12th at 8 o'clock. I checked to see. We talked for 17 minutes. During that conversation, the last thing she said to me was, "Don't worry about me, Mom. I'll be fine." And then within 24 hours, she was missing. I mean, I wasn't here, and her son was not here when she did leave. I was in Oklahoma City, but anyway, I just wanted to say that she had told me she loved me and not to worry about her, that she would be okay.
By the way, one of my favorite things about being a host on Law and Crime is how passionate our audience is. You guys don't just sit back and watch. You engage, you leave comments, you give us feedback, you make your opinions known, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. But one of the most popular opinions is how much you love our police body cam videos. And I'll tell you, I agree. I think they're fantastic. They're unpredictable. They let you see firsthand what's going on in any given situation instead of just hearing about it later in testimony or from police reports. Well, I am excited to tell you that we here at Law and Crime, we've heard you loud and clear. And we have launched a whole new YouTube channel dedicated only to police body cam videos. It is aptly named Law and Crime Body Cam. It is your new destination for all of the most shocking police interactions on the internet. We're talking high-speed chases, dramatic DUIs, arrests that you just got to see to believe. So go check it out. Go subscribe. Let us know what you think. You might even hear a familiar voice on some of the videos. It's me. It's me. I'm not going to lie. I get to narrate some of them. Huge honor for me. Great opportunity. But just click the link in the description. Catch all the action on Law and Crime Body Cam. I'm going to see you there. Let's take a step back. And my understanding is you believe that Amanda had left her house without taking her items to go to a liquor store. And if that's the case, how do we know that?
Because she has made that walk before, but she goes straight to the liquor store, buys her liquor, walks back home, goes to her bedroom, and that's where she drinks. She doesn't go party.
She doesn't go to bars. She doesn't go to people's houses. She always drank at home in her bedroom by herself because she was ashamed that she was an alcoholic.
Also, her husband did some checking, and that's basically the only, I think he checked as far back as October, Broadway liquor is the only liquor store that she ever went to.
And that's where he picked her up at.
Well,
in the road, she was waiting.
He picked her up on the road on Broadway, which would have been her path to the liquor store. So he picked her up. She was headed on Broadway when he picked her up. She did flag him down, according to the police, what they saw on the video, but we've not seen the video. But I'm sure by then she was already freezing, and she probably thought, this person will give me a ride to the store and then they'll bring me home. But that's not what happened.
Do you have a theory as to what happened next?
We do. But
we don't. How much do we want to say?
Sure.
Because
completely understand. I guess let's just, if Amanda were to leave her house and didn't take her money or her phone, is that uncharacteristic of her?
Yes. As a matter of fact, according to her husband Eric, he found her credit card lying on the kitchen floor. So apparently, I'm guessing when she was putting on her jacket and gloves, she thought she had it. He feels like it dropped out of her pocket. She didn't know it. And so she may not have even known it then. She probably wouldn't have known it until she got to her destination to use it. Right. Yes. And then realized, but we know for a fact she never made it to Broadway liquor, because we have my son-in-law did check, go there, and they let him watch the video, and she was not there.
Can you tell us if again, we don't know who this person, I don't know who this person is, but this person that picked her up, if you know where he lives, how far away is that location from where Amanda's body was found?
Across the street.
Yeah.
Literally.
Across the street. Across the street.
There's a road right here, and the gentleman's house is here. She was found at
Almost
the back
directly.
of the house, straight across on a fence. So she had knocked on these people right here, their door, and they didn't let her in. And apparently she ran around their house and was trying to climb on the fence to go over, is what we've been told.
By the way, the fence is 4 foot.
Yeah. It's not a high fence or anything. I mean, and her foot and her hand were caught in it, but she was laying on her back.
Yes. So let's say she fell from the fence, that wouldn't have caused injury to her face.
Orbital fracture.
Right.
We actually looked it up, and it is very, very hard to break the orbital bone. It's one of the hardest bones in your body. And so that's just really all that's strange to us. We know Mandy's younger sister is an attorney. She did speak with the Emmy's office. She called the Emmy, and they have sperm sample there. They have fingernail clippings, and they have her Fitbit that would tell us exactly
when her heart
stopped. It's still there. They said the Muskogee PD has to come pick it up and test all that, but they've not picked it up. And so,
but the Muskogee PD, when they did reply to my daughter concerning this
on an email,
yes, on an email, and he said we've not received the call from the Emmy.
But the Emmy says they have. The Emmy says they have the stuff, and the police officer is saying they never got a call from the Emmy.
That's bizarre. So
yes.
what are there efforts to? It seems like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, or is there something else going on here that they don't want to further investigate it? Because are there efforts that you're making? Obviously, you talked about Mandy's sister, contacting the ME's office. Is there a way to get the two to say pick up this evidence and actually test it, or what do you think's going on here?
Right.
Hopefully, with this traction, they'll do the right thing, because, like I said, we've always been supporters of the police department here, and we felt like they would protect and serve us and do right. But I feel like, again, Mandy's been labeled as an addict or an alcoholic, but she wasn't an addict. The thing with her Xanax, she took her Xanax to sleep if she didn't have alcohol or for withdrawal. So that's why she had that in her system. Then whenever she was picked up, then she had alcohol, so of course it mixed. But we don't know what happened. We just don't. But we need those answers.
Just a really disturbing story about Amanda Harms here, and it makes you think about how unpredictable the world is, which actually brings me to our sponsor of this episode, Attorney Tom and Associates, because talking about what to do when something happens in your life you weren't expecting, when you need a lawyer in these kinds of personal injury situations, finding the right legal help is not only important, it's not the easiest thing to do. But that is where Attorney Tom comes in, because Tom and his team, they obviously have all the legal knowledge and the skills in personal injury cases. That's a given. But they have genuine empathy for their clients. And finding somebody that you can trust is invaluable. So whether you were injured in a car wreck, a refinery explosion, maybe the victim of securities fraud, received a notification that your information was included in a data breach, whatever it may be, and there's many other situations, Attorney Tom can help. And their track record in these tough cases is impressive. And look, if your case is not the best fit for Attorney Tom and his team, they still may be able to recommend you a lawyer using their national network of attorneys. But with Attorney Tom and his team, you're not just hiring a lawyer. You're gaining powerful allies who are committed to your well-being. So if you've suffered an injury and you need legal support, click the attorneytom.com/sidebar link pinned in the comments for a free consultation, or dial 855-TOM-WINS. Your belief is that perhaps the injuries that Amanda sustained were not from an accident, not from a fall, but inflicted by somebody else.
Yes.
And
she thinks that it looks like somebody hauled off and just punched her right here, because this is where most of it, we don't know that. But we will find out.
And they didn't search this individual's house?
No. They said they did a visual walkthrough.
Mm.
And that's another thing. Why didn't they search for any DNA evidence
There was no blood found at the scene where Mandy was at. Okay. That gentleman who found her said she had a little bit of blood right here from her nose, but just a little bit. There was no blood on the ground. There was no blood around. To me, that needs to be looked at also. Where is the blood from her? All this.
But again, we're talking now almost 3 or
It's 2 weeks. Yes.
2 weeks.
The evidence could be gone.
Right.
The Emmy, I think, said that the Emmy said that they couldn't rule out hypothermia. So I imagine their position is she got, she couldn't get into a safe place. She couldn't get inside and she froze outside, but that is not consistent with the woman That's not consistent with what you've seen from the evidence, right?
And we're not disputing that she may have died from hypothermia.
Yep.
That's not a dispute. We want to know how she got the injuries before she died.
Yes.
Right.
And why she was running for her life.
To me,
I think, go ahead.
It's the perfect storm. And it's also, it could have been possibly, not saying that it was, but the perfect crime, because the person that had her knew she wouldn't last long, especially if she was hit in the head, the nose, the eyes. Right. She was in a condition as it was, and as well as on top of the alcohol. He knew she wouldn't survive probably more than a few minutes out there by then.
The way the evidence lines up, this is the theory. We feel like, and there are people that have told us conflicting stories, what he's telling in the public. So this is just, it's hearsay. There's a lot of hearsay that he's telling different stories, that he had sex with her, that he didn't. He told the police he did not.
Even touch her.
But there's other people who came forward that said that she tried to get all on him and touch him. And then he wouldn't because of what she looked like down there. And there's things out that people are just sending us day that he's saying. But yet he won't talk to the...
Who are these people? These were people that saw her that night?
No, that...
Actually, well, the police know who it is now. There's a girl that came forward that her husband is best friends with the suspect, was at the scene, and this person made some really bad comments.
That he was saying.
That the perpetrator was saying. And now that the police are trying to get a hold of her, and we're trying, she's went
cold on us.
She went cold on us. We also know that we went back to talk to some girls at Family Dollar who had told us some information. We went back to talk to them. They were told by Muskogee Police Department, do not talk to the family whatsoever. We don't understand that.
But this was earlier when she went missing.
Right. But now that we went in, though, is what I'm saying, and they've changed.
What is the next step here? Because clearly, speaking to all, it definitely gets the story out there and gets more information out there. What's the next step for you guys?
What we're hoping is that
the
Chief Teehee will request that the OSBI do an investigation. But it has to be the chief, or I know there's other ways, but...
it has to be the district attorney, the chief, or someone else that requested. The family cannot request OSBI to come in.
And again, time was of the essence. When this person first came forward to the police to give them the rest of her clothes, he should have been on the hot seat, so to speak.
And we don't understand. She was on the fence that whole time. When the police came to his house, she was on the fence across the street, supposedly this whole time, and nobody saw her right there. Across the street.
Yeah.
The homeowner where she was found, he was out in his backyard. He saw her boot that was quite a ways from her body. And then when he picked up the boot,
he was going to just throw it away.
Yeah, he thought somebody had thrown it over the fence. But then he saw her body, and he said her other boot was off as well, but laying near her. Mm. So I'm wondering,
and she was barefoot in the fence.
Was she in such a hurry to get out of that house that she didn't take the time to put her boots on and was running, carrying them?
Yeah, no coat, no hat, no gloves. It was freezing out there.
No, it was terrible.
And if he left to take a shower and he left his front door open, That's just all weird to us.
He left a stranger in his home, and he's going to go take a shower, and
because he didn't have hot water, supposedly.
By the way,
know.
This is these responses that you're giving. This is what he told law enforcement in their interview with him.
Yes.
And this was communicated to you through the law enforcement. They told you this.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you asked again, just to clarify this point, when you asked again, why didn't you ask this question? Why didn't you follow up with this? Why didn't you bring him in for more questioning? Their response was,
they just didn't see.
They didn't see any foul play. There was no reason to.
Yeah, they said there was no reason.
Yeah.
They confirmed something, just like, yes, that was on video. He did pick her up. She was in the. She had stepped out in the middle of the road and was waving him down for a ride. So he can't deny that. He took her to his home, which would have been over 3 miles from where she lived. But it's just, I mean, it's sad. Nothing can change this. It's not going to bring her back. But she does deserve justice. If someone
hurt her,
maybe, what's the word?
Negligent homicide.
Like
didn't mean to, or, because
that
it's
caused,
just weird.
Caused her to leave a warm house to go just across the street, trying to get into that house. It doesn't make sense.
And finally, why would she get in the car with the stranger? I don't think we talked about that.
The wind chill was below freezing that night. Mm-hmm. And we feel like she was cold because she had walked to the store, and she or was going. She might have realized she didn't have her card in her pocket, trying to find a ride. Can you take me home? I'm freezing. Yeah. We don't.
There's clearly a lot of unanswered questions. And not only are you dealing with the trauma of this loss, I can hear the frustration in your voices about not getting these answers. So, the good news is we're covering this story. We're going to have this interview out there. If anybody has information about what happened to Amanda, where should they direct their comments? Where should they direct if they have information? Where should they go? If you could let everybody know.
Well, of course, we would want them to go to the police if they'll investigate. But if not, my Facebook profile is under Gina Kirk Cooper.
Yep.
Hers is under Shelley Thompson. We also have a Justice for Amanda Harms page, and we do have a GoFundMe for Amanda. So you can get in touch with us on those platforms. Just leave us your phone number if you want to talk to us, or if you have a message you want to send. We'll really appreciate it.
Got it. Listen, again, Shelley, Gina, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm just wishing you both the best of luck as this continues on, and hopefully you get some more answers to the questions that you have.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, still a lot of questions. Thank you so much for joining us here on this episode of Sidebar. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.